Let's explore autistic history and the Autism Wars. This is part 135 of a series. I'm going to share with you some more of the exchange between an autistic activist and person, Loat Tisnok, and one of the founders of the Hear Their Silence rally that's being mentioned in this congressional autism hearing on April 6th, 2000. Now, this is an email exchange, and so what's happening here is this person, this autistic Laura, is responding to an email that they were sent from this parent, one of the founders, and this is their go back in between. So I'm going to share this with you so you can get a feel of what's being said at this hearing compared to what is actually being said by autistics in the autistic community, and how vastly different our ideas of autism awareness are, and what that includes. So in response to the very, I guess, Pollyanna attitude of, oh, let's just all get along and have this one day of unity by the organizer, I believe this person that they're going back and forth with is Carol Fusella, one of the founders of Autism Resource Connection, ARK, or ARC. So Laura responds, if you want unity, you need to give us a reason to support you. Many of us are now or have been homeless. I myself spent years living on the streets. Those of us who need assistance with daily living tasks can't get it. Those of us who need help with employment can't get it. I know one autistic adult who recently was reduced to eating coffee grounds after the parent who was her primary caregiver died. Laura continues, I have very little sympathy for the letter sent to me about how I just don't understand that their kids might run out in traffic. I was one of those kids who sometimes ran into streets, not because I didn't know that cars could hurt me, but because I couldn't always recognize the difference between a parked car and a moving car. At 42, I still cannot judge speeds and distances of cars very well. As a pedestrian, I've had strangers grab me by the collar and pull me out of traffic more than once. I even had one woman insist upon getting my telephone number and then calling frequently to urge me to do something about this problem. I'm a bit guilty of that too. It was a nice sentiment on her part, but there is nowhere I can turn for help. Nowhere. You're eager to show the world a few token adults who look good on the outside, while carrying the not very well disguised message that our insides are defective and need to be destroyed. Most of us feel that who we are on the inside is the good and worthy part. Worthy enough to deserve support, to live full lives throughout our lives, not just when we qualify to be humiliated as pitiful poster children. We want real, appropriate, responsive adult services. Showing off token autistics denies our real lives, our real needs, our real desires. It's just one more way to silence us. And I have no sympathy. I also have absolutely no sympathy with the argument that there just isn't any money for adult services. Last year, I set up a small international fund and emergency network for high-functioning adults. In the past year, we pulled a lot of people off the street, sent taxi and food money to the autistic who was living on coffee grounds, paid the examination fees of an Aspie teen whose parents abandoned her days before her high school graduation, and fed a family for a while. In a few days, I'm going to be filing articles of incorporation, giving this project a formal structure. I am an autistic SSI recipient. Why can I do this and nobody else can? Is it my amazing superhuman powers? Or is it the autism establishment prefers their autistics invisible and silent? The next line is from the email from the founder of the Hear Their Silence rally, and it says, to show this great nation of ours, our young adults and grown-ups on the spectrum, all sides to autism. So that's the email part that Laura is going to respond to here next. I'm not a grown-up. I'm an adult. I'm probably older than you are. I might even be old enough to be your mother. I don't need to be talked to with baby talk. The email from the first person says, yes, to even show that people can and do function very well with autism, seems you all miss the point. Laura responds, no, seems you missed the point. The other person states, I am so sorry to see this. Laura responds, it would be better if you learned from it. The originator of this email writes, I am going to DC. And Laura responds, I'm staying home and putting my spare resources into the new corporation. There are too many people waiting in line for help. The originator of the email says, I am sorry that you feel this way in any way, that this will in any way hurt you by explaining to others what autism is all across the spectrum. They wrote that in all caps. Anyhow, Laura responds, we don't need you to explain us. We can explain ourselves quite nicely. Most of us do have voices, you know. And the originator writes, a day of unity. Laura responds, like I said, if you want unity, you have to make unity. You haven't made anything of the sort. You didn't even try. You just expected us to be silent. And the originator of the email writes, thank you so much for your support, or your non-support. What a slap in the face. Really? Okay, so Laura responds, it seems to me that you're the one who left out what autistics themselves want. You leave us out, you build your agenda around the very things that offend us the most, and then you say we are not supporting you? The originator writes, just one day to show how great and strong we are united together. Laura responds, we are not united. Again, you can't have unity without dialogue and compromise. In fact, it isn't even meaningful to say we, because you never included us as a community in your plans. Your plans were for us to hear our silence. It's not hard to find autistic input. Wander over to www.ani.ac for a start and surf from there. You'll find plenty of us. We're big, we're lively, we're connected. Alas, for the name of your march, we aren't silent. The originator says, one day, ... a moment in time, lots more dots. Laura responds, I am not interested in being silenced by your agenda for one moment. I made my voice, as I called it, after being inspired by the civil rights movement. You can't speak out against injustice if you can't speak. You're giving me one more good thing to use it for. From the original email originator, I think you all missed the point. I am so sorry that you missed mine. Laura responds, oh, I got it. I'm hyperlexic and I can read that telephone number. The originator writes, to bring awareness to autism. Laura writes, awareness for what purpose? A rally in Washington? It just so happens that my area of special interest is politics. I seem to remember that generally groups that want to bring public awareness to an issue spend their money on public service announcements and similar campaigns. Groups that want to bring their agenda to Congress, money for a cure, generally rally in Washington. It's a simple matter of cost effectiveness. An awareness about what? What autism? What about autism? What about it?